Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to a brand new Squared Circle Society Live. I am Flesh Wound Dan, joined as always by producer Todd. Todd,
Good evening.
how goes it tonight?
Chilling.
Cool. We're here to talk about an XPW legend, even though they don't want to talk about that part.
Didn't even, not a word.
Not a goddamn word. I was surprised.
You know why? Because it wasn't the dark side; it was the happy side of the ring. So they couldn't talk about it. There you go.
So dark side of the ring, Sandman, Enter Sandman, legacy of a hardcore icon. So yeah, I guess we'll get that out of the way first. They kind of gloss over that. Now, you know what? I understand. Like, he was elsewhere longer than XPW, and I can see how certain things wouldn't focus on it, but it's dark side of the ring, and the XPW had a whole episode. I felt like, that
he spent a year in that dirty, awful porno company, something like that.
Something like that. I'm just kind of surprised that we didn't get some sort of clip or just anything at all. I guess I'm not. I really knew it wasn't going to be more than just a gloss over kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to see it hit the big career highlights. I don't know. But unfortunately not. But on the XPW front, what would you have liked to have seen? And it also could be maybe there just wasn't like that big personal
there. I don't think there was. I don't know what honestly they'd cover. I mean, the other storyline wise, like, I don't know what was going on in the back. Who knows? But
yeah.
I just like his biggest thing. I think there was he was part of the Enterprise. I mean, that was. I mean, other than that, I story wise, it was just Sandman being Sandman. It was for good time.
It was a very good time. I figured
Sandman's beers.
Well, there you go. Did you save it?
No, I drank it because that's
okay.
You do it.
Well, yeah, I thought you meant you swiped one from the back, Todd. That you were.
Oh, no, it might have fallen out of his 12-pack. Who knows what happened?
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to bitch about that too much. I just figured we'd get a little something, a backstage story. Certainly at that point in his life, there was some crazy shit that happened with Sandman behind the scenes. But Kruger!
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, you didn't respond to my message, but I saw your I'm here in the private chat.
Oh, I didn't. You replied? I didn't see. Oh, whoops.
We just started, so it's all good. We're just bitching about no XPW mention.
Oh, really?
Or Sandman, but
yeah, I figured I could come on. I know enough about fucking Sandman to talk Sandman.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
More than just the episode. We will talk about what the episode covered first. So.
Yeah. So they kind of kick this off. Early life. There's a couple comments before we go back in time. Sabu talks about that long wait for him to actually get in the fucking ring. Longer nights because of it. Sandman, one of those guys, always wanted to be a pro wrestler, watching the WWF growing up. We go over some of his early trouble with the law, burglarizing a house, and then headbutting a guard in jail, which he kind of lucked out on not doing too much time for. Then, one thing that people out there may or may not know, if you've ever listened to a shoot interview or something, you might, but 1984, he gets out of jail and gets a job at Pulsation's nightclub, and he thinks he's going to get laid. Girl kind of escorts him up to a room, and then it turns out she's a producer or manager or whatever for Chippendales. So Sandman was a Chippendales dancer. You know who else was a Chippendales dancer, Todd? Not me. Spoiler alert, not me. But Robert Zadar was also a Chippendale.
That I did know. But
Dan would look like Chris Farley in that fucking goddamn skit from SNL.
I would get all the fucking tips. Man, I would be popular.
yeah, I know you'd be getting them tips, Dan.
I'll finish that story, Todd.
You'll finish all the tips.
Tips in all holes.
You wasn't getting it.
But,
Thank you, Kruger.
But
I was gonna say
I got the tip, Todd. I know sold.
We know you got the tip.
This is a classy podcast, and you gotta go there with the butt humor, Todd. God damn it. But
that's not your only hole. I was just gonna say it would have been hilarious to see fucking drunk ass Hack as a fucking Chippendale.
Well, then he got fired because he was doing a little more than dancing. He was a man whore on the side, which the one thing about that though, like, maybe as a Chippendales dancer, you can probably get some of the ladies to pay, but you gotta think that's probably not the ladies.
If he's pulling them from the Chippendales, he just knows what night not to pull. You aim for the ladies and not the tips.
Yeah. So I was like, man.
It's not like he's just like has a number out. Like, I mean, they're pulling him from the club, I'm guessing.
That's true. Probably go for some of the older ladies. But now hopefully no Singapore cane up the chute. But so they kind of run down. They run down a little bit more. He meets his wife, of course, Peaches, or Lori, whatever you knew her as in ECW. Pretty much right away, she gets pregnant. She becomes, and then we kind of get into pretty quick into ECW on this. He trains and ends up he trains under, I should say, Joel Goodhart's school, Tri-State Wrestling, and relatively quickly he goes to Eastern Championship Wrestling at the time, and that's where it all kind of begins. Todd, you're old enough. Do you remember Surfer Boy Sandman at all?
I'm old enough, but I wasn't collecting Eastern Championship Wrestling or some of those tapes. That wasn't, no.
Yeah.
I saw everything after.
Yeah, I think PWI, and like I said, I was always kind of up on certain things, even if I couldn't watch it. But yeah, he debuts with kind of a surfer boy gimmick, and not quite the right look for that. I thought it was kind of funny. I didn't watch any of that footage in a long time, and I was like, man, I can't believe they thought that fit him.
What city did they bill him from? It was like a Florida city, but it was California. I was like, Jesus Christ. Then he fucking talks like Hack. So you're like, yeah, this fucker is not from California. I think it was like Myrtle Beach, California. So I'm like, isn't that fucking Florida? They're just fucking mashing up beach out in places. I'm like, yeah, I think it was Myrtle.
Yeah, so this is 91. He's got Peaches in his corner. Tri-State Wrestling, and then, like I said, that segues into Enter Todd Gordon, who, it's always nice to see him because people forget and give Paul Heyman all the fucking credit for ECW, and it's like Todd Gordon was responsible for a lot of that. So always nice actually seeing him. I think he's somebody that's kind of forgotten.
It just depends who's telling the story. If it's WWE, it's always Paul Heyman influence. If it's anyone else, it's always Todd Gordon influence because that's who they have access to. So
exactly. Todd Gordon talks just hating the gimmick and the arrival of Paul Heyman, of course, becomes ECW, and that's kind of where the story we all know kicks off. What up, Ben Grimm in the chat? So from here, I think obviously both of you are kind of familiar with the history of the Sandman in ECW. Paul Heyman lets him basically be himself. He puts over Paul Heyman, calls him the greatest mind in the history of pro wrestling. We get I forget the promo, but Paul Heyman, he's more hardcore than a Tracy Lords video. Timely at the time. Sabu talks about Sandman being the only person who could be completely just dead ass drunk that he'd trust wrestling in a match. And that's no gimmick. Sandman usually, and he says he'd usually drink about 6 beers just on the way to the ring. So early beginnings, kind of, where did you guys first, man?
My first memory of Sandman is that match that he had with Sabu when he was on acid. I think that was the first Sandman match I ever watched. And I just, the fact that this fucking guy is just throwing himself out of the ring with absolutely no care about himself, no care about his opponent. And then you find out that he thought he was wrestling Godzilla. He was so fucked up on acid, he thought he was wrestling Godzilla in the middle of the fucking ring. It's awesome.
You really gonna take out Godzilla with a tope? Like, I kind of feel like you're gonna need to do something else. I don't know, come out of the rafters or something. But that was wild. That was wild, and it's pretty crazy just going back and watching all sorts of matches with him and just thinking, like, man, he was legitimately fucked up. Like, how the hell did he make that work? Todd, was it for you? Was it okay? Were you like more later into the 90s when you really started watching it, or earlier?
It was mid.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think, because I was watching these off traded tape, so I don't even know how late I was. So I'm saying pretty along the timeline of it.
Okay.
I might have been playing a little bit of catch up, but yeah, it was still in that angle, was hot.
Yeah, and so he's developing the Sandman gimmick. You've got I think he said he was in a strip club with Missy Hyatt, where he got the idea that he was going to enter through the crowd, which, you know, a lot of people do that now, but that wasn't, you know, as common at the moment. They talk about getting the idea, that famous Michael Fay case where kind of a douchey American dude that broke the law and got caned. So Paul Heyman had the idea.
I guess Dan hates America too now. That's good to hear.
I love America, but I mean, I'll call it when you're being douchey. If I remember that case, he was definitely just being an asshole.
It's too bad that didn't happen to fucking Logan Paul when he went to fucking Japan.
That would have been. I think Kruger, I think you would have maxed out your card to watch that punishment.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Front row,
brother. So yes, that case, Paul Heyman, there you go. The Singapore Cane is born. Now, obviously, just a little bit. I
still don't call it a kendo stick. I still call it a Singapore Cane.
It's a Singapore Cane, I was going to say. So now, obviously, Sandman was a part of some big storylines. Even if you're not a fan of Sandman the wrestler, it's undeniable that he was a part of some of the greatest wrestling storylines of the last 30 years. Well, I don't want to get too far ahead, but the segment with Tommy Dreamer where they both were kind of made, where he's caning Tommy Dreamer, the famous "Thank you, sir, may I have another,"
which is totally corny now, but it still works. Like yeah, but it still works. But
you notice how quiet, which we'll get to quiet because there's a big
yeah,
angle.
that's the best heat.
But yeah, no, this was huge. This was hot in the news. So, you know, we take Singapore Canes now for granted in wrestling matches. You know, they're used a lot. But, you know, back then, that idea, like, that was fucking brutal. And they go over that. His son kind of puts him over the really adult storylines in ECW, which everybody listening to this is going to be aware of. But remember, we're still, you know, relatively early into the 90s at this point. We're not too far removed from say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and you've got strippers, crucifixion, which we'll get into. This was really like that first taste. ECW did it, XPW then really fucking did it, which again, please mention XPW next time, guys. And this does a good job glossing over that, but Paul Heyman bringing in Macaulay Culkin as his son, which Todd Gordon said was total fucking bullshit, and that Heyman just made that up.
Obvious.
Although that would have been funny. That would have been really funny, especially like he's getting crucified, and just to have him do the would have been good for the poster. So at this point, they talk about the Raven feud, which for my money, one of the best feuds in the history of wrestling. So was Raven Tommy Dreamer. Anything Raven fucking did in ECW at this point, and WCW, which is run there, is very underrated, but anything he did was gold. His son, Tyler, 5 years old. I thought he was a little older than that, but apparently 5 years old when this storyline started. And yes, do you guys remember this? Because this was really good TV, and I think they owe a lot, like even Bray Wyatt and that infamous segment with the kids coming down and singing with John Cena.
Well, the Wyatt family definitely has like heavy Ravens flock fucking influence. Yeah,
very, very much so. And I'm not saying they're the same guy. I'm not saying it's a ripoff, obviously.
No, it's just it's definitely inspired. I mean, Raven. Yeah. I mean, Kevin Sullivan did originate like the cult gimmick, but Raven definitely, I think, perfected it, and it was awesome in that like 90s grungy way where these looked like these motherfuckers that were just like set up in a house in the middle of nowhere, like probably shooting heroin, fucking doing drugs all fucking day. Like I love that goddamn gimmick.
Oh, I thought, Raven, one of the all-time best storytellers and gimmicks. I was also going to say, though, we would not have Stone Cold Steve Austin if we didn't have Sandman. Again, not a ripoff, not saying that. Obviously, they're very different, but I don't think we have Stone Cold Steve Austin and that his gimmick exactly as it was if Sandman didn't do it first. And I don't know. I don't think he fully gets his due there because there are parallels all the way.
There are.
Austin's kind of doing the redneck version of it while he's the Philly guy. But so this feud, Dad, you're drunk, I worship Raven. Like all of that shit is just so good. And he's like,
that's the silent heat where everyone went hushed.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, holy shit, this kid's 5 years old and he's hitting his lines.
And this is the thing, though. But like this, to anyone who thinks fans can't still get worked, this was the hardest of the hardcore, the insider, the smart, and that whole fucking building was quiet. So
exactly.
The funny thing now is if you work the smarts, they get mad because they get worked. So, but it's
it is weird. Although a lot of
you're
people
one of the fucking ones, Dan. You do the same shit they all do.
A lot of people don't know how to do it though. Like that's the thing. It's like they just don't know how to work. You could do it. Like there's a lot of things you could tap into right now that just nobody has the balls to do it, unfortunately.
Well, not nobody, but
very, very few. Like I can think of 10 different things off the top of my head to tap into. You get some heat for doing it. You get some big heat, and it's not all the good heat, but nobody does these type of angles anymore. Not on a big stage anyways, and not very many small stages. I mean, you're seeing a 5-year-old boy right next to Raven who's bleeding out of his fucking head. He's got barbed wire on him. Like, that is a hell of an image. I haven't watched that stuff in a long time, and I was kind of going back and watching some of the actual matches and segments, and that shit holds up really, really well. Really, really well. A lot of the Attitude Era stuff really doesn't. We've talked about that. ECW, 90% of it, I would say, still holds up very well.
It's my favorite company of all time, bro. Like 100% at the best, because it made me care about more than just a couple of wrestlers. I basically loved every single fucking gimmick that they put on TV.
Everybody had something to do. That was like the thing. Even if you weren't at the top of the card, you had a story. You had, you were known. There was no like throwaway guy.
And that's the problem. Most indie promotions, all they do is focus about the top and throw the rest of the card together. Got to give everyone something to do, and the product's so much better because it's those non-main event feuds that like will really catch fire. You never know what's going to hit, and when you do that, you could turn a mid-carder into a main eventer when you have everyone doing something.
Oh, I agree 100%. And there's so much TV time now at the top that you could do that. Like I remember, I don't even know who I was talking to, but we were talking about like main event, and the person just said like, nobody watches main event. Who cares? And I was like, well, number one, that's not true. Unless people watch it, but you get a story on there, people will tune in. Natalia, for example.
See, I have to argue with that. People aren't going to tune in. The people that are already tuned in are going to enjoy the stories, but I don't think you could do anything to draw on main event or any of the B shows, Dan.
You're not going to draw Raw,
because if it was good enough, it would be on one of the A shows. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I'm not. I disagree that you can't draw somebody over with something intriguing if you actually chose to do it. Like I said, it takes more than just wrestling. Like you have to commit to.
I'm not disagreeing with your thought process, Dan. I'm disagreeing with you using a WWE, any other B show, because it's not going to work. Because nothing you can do is going to make those draw more. People just don't care. The ones that do, watch them. The ones who don't.
Yeah, you can build an audience. I disagree. If you got TV time, don't throw it away.
It's never going to happen with its fourth level WWE show.
Well, like Level Up, for example. Put a few stories in there. Most of those guys,
using that one might work because it's 3-minute Twitter bullshit, and people will watch that because it's short.
That is speed. Sir.
Oh, okay. So whatever. That one has better shots. Dan's the only person who knows what all these fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I have no clue what the fuck you guys are talking about.
I only know speed because I just saw someone bitching about it.
So if you just randomly, I'm getting over the top.
You see my point though, Dan? Like if you were using a different example, I can agree. Like any promotion, making their product better making stories, yes. It's just you can't. It's like trying to fucking build something on like what's the third level fucking AEW.
If you heard Natalia crucified Valhalla on main event, you're not tuning in. Something like.
See, your problem with that logic is it would never happen. You're speaking
separated.
You're speaking in such fantasies. I can't even like imagine.
I didn't have a story. I didn't have a story off the top of my head.
No, I'm not. It's not about the story. It's you're trying to get a WWE like C show over, and there's nothing you can say that in my brain will say, okay, that'll work. So just move on.
Doesn't have to be a C show forever. That's all I'll say. But I will move on. So where were we? All right. So we get to the crucifixion angle. Holy crap! Like at this time. Like that, I mean, I don't feel like you could do now. And
you could 10 years ago, right, Kruger?
Yeah, fucking we tried.
You did. You got
some
of your
second degree. Yeah, second degree burns on my back from sitting across on fire. That's what I get.
Oh, that sucks. You got it worse than Sandman, I think. But I always thought this was funny. Blue Meanie talked about it for some seminar.
Your favorite?
Huh?
This is your favorite. Your role model.
Everybody loves the Blue Meanie. So I remember him talking about it, and he's not on this episode, unfortunately, but they rehash it. He and Stevie Richards, I believe, were both Catholic. And I was like, dude, this is so fucked up.
It's funny because I've heard that sentence uttered so many times, and every time I hear it, I still hear Stevie saying it.
Yeah. This raspy ass voice, yeah, for sure.
We're gonna get in so much trouble for this. And holy shit, this was a really controversial angle. I mean, this was a potential company killer, because
I don't think it would have got the heat if Angle wasn't there, because it wouldn't have been the immediate response. They would have dealt with it for months, and by then it would have aired on TV. I think Angle what really, because I don't think who was going to be weird about it. The Philly crowd were just like, "I was fucking stupid. Let's move on."
Well, they were reacting. I don't think it was a reaction.
They were reacting like they would in 2024. I don't know what they were thinking back in 90, whatever the fuck. You just like, fuck them and move on.
People were still a little bit more religious in general at that time, and that was like a big, like, holy shit, somebody just got crucified in a wrestling show. Once again, prayers and vitamins. Beer drinker gets like fucking crucified.
Yeah, I would have had an FUJC chant going on already. Should have heard what we said in the church.
Backstage fallout, of course, Kurt Angle, kind of a little bitch at the time, gets extremely pissed and threatens, and this Raven.
I can't argue about that. His I don't want my image shown on that same episode. There's no problem with that. You put him on 2 episodes. I have no problem with Angle saying, I don't want to be on with that bullshit. If that's his, whatever. But
yeah.
I don't know well, obviously they didn't want a lawsuit. I don't think he could have really done a whole lot about it.
If Angle wasn't there, this would be a whole nother thing. We'd be like, wow, can you believe they got away with that? Can almost guarantee that. Because who's gonna bitch? It would have got them attention, and it might have been bad, but it wouldn't have stopped them. It would have kept the momentum going. I think Angle's the only wrench in that kind of fucks them.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Angle had gone to ECW? Not that he would have been there very long, but
he would have told Paulie, I can never lose.
I have to beat all the evil, like, beer drinkers.
Remember that's what he told Vince the first time. And he didn't get signed.
Go fuck yourself, pal.
He knew he didn't get it, so Vince let him go.
At this point, they kind of run down the injuries. His now ex-wife Lori talks about him starting to pop pills, coke, typical dark side of the ring stuff.
Did we even? It's funny because watching this, I was like, see, when this was all going around, that was just called partying. Now I'm watching it on dark side of the ring.
Yeah, right.
It's weird because I parallel growing up at the same times, doing the same stupid shit. He's a little older than me, but we were still fucking being dumbasses. But yeah, it's weird. It's like, and I'm looking back now, like, yeah, we were doing stupid shit back then, but whatever.
Well, did you like overdose in a car and then like wake up, leave the hospital, and go to wrestle the next day? Because that's pretty fucking hardcore.
No, yeah.
He talks about going to like 3 different doctors and getting like just.
Well, that was just him. That was
that is the entire locker room.
Yeah. Was it me? Was it the same one Benoit went to? Was it me, or did they not tell us why they divorced? Did they just glance over it, or did we never really get
beating the shit out of her?
Okay, that's right. Yeah, we did.
Something to do with it, I'm sure. But so, the RVD story where he went out for a match and Sandman ate like an entire bag of mushrooms that was in his gear bag. Like, who the fuck ate my mushrooms? And he like just sees Sandman like, oh, those were yours. And he ate every goddamn one. I laugh at this. Obviously, this could have gone a very different way for Sandman.
But it's another one I don't feel it was a dark side of the ring. He's okay. He made it through. Fucking life happens. You get divorced. You fucking party too hard. I don't see what was dark side of the ring. He found out steroids in his body did not go well together, which is the whole thing with the wife. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there was a dark journey. He wasn't like, I guess, that Eric Roberts, that fucking Jake Roberts type that just had such a long history of it in the public eye. But I mean, his wife talks about getting a hospital bill and not even knowing that he was like, I think he was like legally dead or something at one point. Like Bill Alfonso had to like fucking revive him. And they kind of run down, oddly enough, where the real trouble starts. The heavy trouble is when he went to WCW and he had to jack up with the steroids. What up, Swaggy? So I forgot, honestly, that he did that. Like, I don't remember.
Didn't make that much of a difference either, looking back on it now. Like, I could tell looking back, but I would have been fine with, I mean, yeah.
He was one of those old school guys that he just was never going to, like, be jacked. He was just going to look like a dude.
Yeah,
like
and that was part of the appeal of him. He was the dude that you could relate with. He liked to fucking get hammered, party, and beat some ass with a Singapore cane. I mean, what is there not to like from a young 20-year-old or a late teenager not to love about that gimmick? I mean,
exactly. He appealed to all of us. Not such a good thing, but we probably all aspired to be the Sandman at one point.
I was the 90s.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to be some pussy telling people to say their prayers and eat vitamins. Like, I want to be Sandman. And so he gets to WCW as Hack. At the moment, I really hated that they changed the name, but I'm not going to say I wasn't excited to see him, because I was. Doesn't, get to do anything. He had some fun matches, but obviously not ECW level stuff. He gets really bad. At this point, they say he kind of becomes more abusive, and this becomes a little bit more of a traditional dark side with just, not having the sad ending. Wife talks about at one point just dumping $10,000 worth of like steroids that he had just down the sink in front of him. They run down the abuse stuff, and they get divorced. At this point, we could have had an XPW mention. They briefly talk about his WWE run, which I knew that was fucked from the beginning when the zombie comes out on ECW, WWE, ECW.
Yeah, no shit.
But I saw that, my heart sunk. I'm like, it's dead.
You already know it was coming, Dan. You were already reading that.
Dude,
you knew there was going to be an alien.
Remember when he got drafted to Raw?
Yeah, I was so mad.
Yeah. I was so pissed too. I was like,
I'm like, what's the point of bringing ECW back? But you know what?
Yeah.
He still managed to stay over on that on the main roster.
Oh yeah, dude.
Till they gave the entrance to the Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I was surprised how he stayed. I was like worried, but I mean, he was never going to be nothing more than he was. But I mean, it translated to the main roster, and I didn't think it would.
Him and Sabu got fucked.
Yeah,
so bad.
Sabu fucked himself. Yeah. They do not mention the XPW run.
No, not even for a second. And the Sandman was drinking beer first, long before us.
Yeah, I didn't finish that. On air, I can't tell you who was drinking beer first.
Oh, yeah. Well,
on air, I can tell you it was Sandman.
Sandman was pretty much out of the womb, I think. But yeah, no, they did that. Now, this is in the weeds, and I don't know if either of you will remember this. There was one thing, and it would have been so ballsy and so different and so cool. They remember when they did the battle royal for who would be, I think it was Raw GM. Right. And they did the under the ring gimmick with Regal, but I didn't notice it. and Sandman looks like he eliminates like the last person. I'm like, we're gonna get like fucking Sandman in the Teddy Long role, even if it was just for a couple months.
That would have been the greatest TV they could have had at that time.
Can you imagine? You just have like, I don't know, like Kurt Angle is pissed off, like, what's my match tonight? And it's like, I don't know. Like, just go call someone out. Like, the segments would have been so good. Wouldn't have been traditional Sandman, but holy shit, that would have been fun. And so that's kind of where it ends. He kind of fucked over his relationship. Daughter might seem a little more bitter about it than the son, but they seem to be in contact.
I think they both seemed about equally bitter, because the son every once in a while there was something you could that's just what I took from it. I don't know, but they both still seem like they loved their dad. But yeah, I'm sure there is. I mean, I think he said sometimes he just wished he was home. He didn't want him to be Sandman. So.
Exactly. I
can't imagine Sandman going anywhere in Philly and not being mobbed.
Even now, dude, like, I mean, I think he still works once in a while. I think he
does shows, but he doesn't like work, right, Kruger?
He swings.
Yeah, he just comes out, drinks beer, and fucking canes people. That's it.
Yeah,
it's a great gimmick if you can fucking.
Yeah,
but I don't want to see him taking bumps anymore.
If New Jack was still here, he'd just run out, throws trash can at people, and beats the people up and be gone. That's fine. Sandman can do that too.
Or stab a few.
All right, well, it depends if you pissed him off.
Yeah.
Attack a senior citizen.
I remember watching him attack Marvin. God, I wish he would have just cut it off. My eyes would be. XPW Cold Day in Hell. New Jack beats up some garbage man.
Seems to be doing better. I don't think I've heard of a major Sandman incident in recent memory.
Not since the one we end with when he got fucking hammered on the fucking table. Fucking
yeah.
I remember seeing that footage the day before, and then the next day he's in jail.
Yeah.
We're like,
how long ago? I was trying to figure what the date was on that. Was that?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been about a decade, I'd say.
Steve, welcome, by the way. Most underrated wrestler Stevie Richards, definitely among. I saw a match he had with Booker T. No major story behind it or anything, and they tore the house down. Stevie is very, very underrated. I love the pairing with Victoria. I love his TNA stuff. I think Dr. Stevie, all of that with Daphne was really good as well.
I was not a big fan of the Abyss angle.
Yeah,
that's when Abyss got really fucking lame to me.
You're getting into the Joseph Park, I think, close to it at that point. Yeah, no, not a word about XPW, which again, being that they had an episode on XPW, I felt like
I don't think, maybe Sandman was on his best behavior when he was in California.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he was.
He was hanging out with the Enterprise, They always came out with nosebleeds, so I'm sure they had some good stuff in the back. I'm not gonna say that fucking Chaos came out with his fucking nose bleeding. We all saw that shit live on TV.
No comment.
Maybe Mikey Whipwreck was great. Yes, Stevie Richards is on with Vince Russo all the time. He's like, so's Al Snow.
I just saw a clip from with those two on. Yeah, they were there. Okay. I don't want to bring that conversation. No, it's going to be a whole sidetrack. Well, we might actually save that for when we talk this weekend, because we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh yeah,
we still got some time. I don't know, Kruger. What are your favorite Sandman memories? I mean,
well, like I said, that match with Sabu, anything with him and Sabu, I just always loved their matches because it was just like them just throwing themselves at each other the whole fucking time. Obviously, stuff with Raven. I actually enjoyed like Sandman's match with Tommy Dreamer and fucking against the Dudleys, the tag match, the ECW One Night Stand 05. Like that entrance is one of the coolest fucking entrances I've ever fucking seen. When he's coming out to enter Sandman and the whole fucking for ECW One Night Stand 2005.
That's right. Yeah, no, that definitely yeah, I don't know how many times I watched that fucking thing when it.
My favorite is like after Dreamer takes the power bomb into the fucking flaming table, Sandman has him like cradled and he's like, "Somebody get me a beer! Get me a beer!" He needs a beer. Like that shit's great.
Yeah.
That was a great reunion show,
dude. Both of them are fucking amazing. Like from top to bottom.
It's so sad they let them do that, and then they did what they did on Sci-Fi.
If only they would have let Shane run with it.
Yeah, right.
It was supposed to be an online show. Dan wouldn't have been able to watch because he couldn't have figured out the internet then. But it would have been an online show.
It would have. It was gonna change no matter what. Like it would have changed no matter what, and it wouldn't look the same now. I think it probably would have become something more like a Ring of Honor, but man, like who knows? Who knows?
I'm pulling Steve's right though. Let's not forget about the greatest CCW champion ever, Vince McMahon. Excuse me,
Do-Rag McMahon.
Do-Rag Vince, get it right. We'll take Do-Rag McMahon too.
What up, G?
Dude, is there a Do-Rag Vince figure? Because I will buy that. I know if there's not yet.
I think there is.
Okay. Now it's probably worth too much money.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, anybody should check.
You guys want a brand new Vince McMahon mask? I got one coming soon to eBay. Want to be Vinnie Mac this Halloween?
Steve, I read that is Joey Ryan there instead of Joey Styles.
Well, he did that once. Joey was not a fan of the boss's wife at the time.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. I miss Joey Styles.
She did offer fellatio to everyone who came down the arena. It was a long flight to Philly. I would have went. Yeah, I totally got sidetracked with the fucking
blowjob.
I was going to say something else. Move along before.
We'll move along. But you know what? I think Sandman, he is one of the greats. I'd love, and I hope under Triple H, maybe it'll happen. I think an all ECW class was wishful thinking on my part, but with being in Philly, but Sandman belongs in the Hall of Fame. Undeniable. Raven belongs in the Hall of Fame. Undeniable. Tommy Dreamer, I think, will go in.
Good. There you go, Tom. Yeah, I guess Tommy Dreamer.
He's on good terms, so I think he will. Sabu, come on. Put him in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he definitely needs to go because of like just his style and how innovative it is, and he's like him and RVD. To me, are like two of the most influential wrestlers to the style that shit is today.
And not
RVD's
in
in
a good
at
way
least,
though either, because some of the people leave the psychology out. That's the one thing.
Well, that's what makes RVD and Sabu the two best at doing that.
They missed part of the influence. A lot of the youngsters that unfortunately.
Yeah, no, this is true.
Exactly, and go back and watch their matches. They're a lot of crazy shit, but they definitely had psychology down.
And you do remember they did kind of in XPW and Exit Sandman. They did the whole continued off some of that legacy stuff with his ex-wife and his kid, or I believe it was his daughter this time, with Pogo, because Pogo got his daughter this time. So it's a good stuff. Exit Sandman, that Philly run of XPW. There's some stuff in there. I always forget about that because I was thinking of the stuff in California they did, but they did a lot more when they hit Jersey.
And I'm going to push back.
Not Jersey, Philly.
I was somewhat, at least when it came to wrestling, I was online because the second when he was with Chastity in WCW and I found out about that tape, I definitely hit up everybody I possibly
Of course
could
you
online.
fucking did.
Why didn't you just walk into a store and buy it like a normal person? That's what I did.
Because I was a fucking teenager, Tad. Thank you.
So
very
you're
much.
breaking the law, and you're admitting it on
Ooh.
a stream.
When I
I-
looked for it. But
I was of age, sir, and I still own the DVD. I'm gonna tell you guys something. This is normally a Patreon story, but I'll clean it up. So this, I've told this on Patreon. So on the Chastity adult tape, when you pop it in, or even on the Blu-ray or DVD, thanks for carrying this over. They have a nice adult film shot, and they pull back, and it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. So you got to get scared right before you watch Chastity take a D. I'm trying to leave all the naughty words out, so that didn't make sense. So.
Well, that's okay. We got take a D, and
I think Larry might have liked the tape better than I did for that part.
Well, there you go. But yeah, man, I hope he gets his due. Like, induct some of these guys while they're alive. I know, like, New Jack was probably never going to happen, but don't wait. Like, get him in there. I think Sandman will be perfectly fine. He's not going to go up there and say something he shouldn't or
I don't think it
anything.
matters now. There's not all the Vince McMahon rules, so
that's what I'm hoping. I feel like Thunderbolt Patterson doesn't happen under McMahon. That's Legacy Wing. So
no.
Hopefully.
I'm still fine with Legacy Wing though. For the ones that have passed, and sometimes it's just like Muhammad Ali, that was just to get the Rock over. Otherwise, that's a legacy segment or a quick one.
No, because he gets you the main.
That's true, but yeah, you still got to do something with it. So
yeah, you're getting the mainstream press. That's why they do the celebrity stuff. But that's kind of where I guess I'll leave it. I'd like to see him get his due, which he deserves. And several of these ECW guys, I mean, WWE has opened themselves to doing people that were never even in WWE getting inducted. All of these guys, not all, but most, at least had a run in either WCW or WWE. And they did huge things in ECW. So I hope Triple H will do right by them. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this episode. It was good, but much like the XPW episode, it left a lot unsaid, I think.
For me, it wasn't that dark.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a guy who liked the party, who made it through the party. It happens. It's not like he lost a wife along the way. He didn't kill anyone. So
there you go. That we know of. So that's all I got. Gentlemen, we will be back in just about 7 minutes on Flesh Wound Horror Live. So be sure to hop on over there. But before we do that, anything to promote wrestling-wise?
Well, we do have a video from my encounter in Texas. I sent it to you, Todd.
Oh, okay. There's another one. Okay. Well, now you're going to need to stall.
We will stall.
I sent it to you, but yeah, I just came back from Texas in Amarillo. I wrestled for Outcast Extreme Wrestling. And it's I wrestled Mosh Pit Mike in the main event in a like barbed wire frenzy match. So it was just like a bunch of barbed wire gimmicks and stuff, but it was fun. Really cool show. Awesome venue, like really awesome venue. Gave me strong UEW vibes. Because like they have this building that they have rented out, and like basically when you walk in, there's this big area for the crowd to come in and get in line and shit. And then there's a wall with like a bunch of fucking wrestlers that have wrestled in the arena. And then these two awesome murals of Dory Funk and Terry Funk. And then inside the arena, beautiful entranceway, fucking awesome lighting setup, spotlight on the fucking ring and everything. Total TV ready area. Definitely a place I could see XPW running out of. And I know the management there is trying to get on the XPW streaming app. And they are going to be holding a benefit show for Necro Butcher, who just broke his hip. So all the proceeds to the show on June 29th is going to go to Necro Butcher, and I will be competing on that show as well. So, Todd,
Awesome.
were you able to get it?
It's processing. It's going
Okay.
right now. I'm just kind of waiting for it to go so I can pull it because it's clips of this match.
And also coming up May 5th, this Sunday, I will be in. I don't necessarily.
And
want to
I
say
believe
where.
it's technically still an undisclosed location.
Yeah, in an undisclosed location. In the main event, facing the Suicidal Beast, Bryant Woods, for the IWA Deep South World Heavyweight title match. So my second title match in 2 weeks, and second main event in 2 different states. So pretty fucking cool stuff happening, and I'm pretty excited for this match with Bryant Woods. He had a very famous match with JD Horror, who's, again, if you know me and you know JD Horror, and I have a long history together. So it'll be which I will be facing JD Horror at the end of May 30th, in the Under the Crimson Sea Death Match 2. It's a rematch, almost 10 years in the making, with one of the weapons of choice is fish hooks. So it's going to be fucking nice and brutal and disgusting.
And if you want to see the first one, you can check it out right now. UEW Sovereign of Slaughter 1 on IWTV right now. Coming soon to Stream XPW. And Kruger, but all your clips are ready. So that
all right. Well, let's pull up me versus Mosh Pit Mike this past Saturday in Texas.
I think you need to unmute to talk, guys. If you want to say.
Whoops.
My bad.
Oh.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this fucking sucked.
Ooh.
Oh, right on the barbell.
See you screaming through the mask.
Oh, this looks like it's
my death match. My death match losing streak continues. But it was a great
It
match.
ends this Sunday.
Ends this Sunday when I drag Bryant Woods across fucking state lines.
yes.
Anyways, really happy that I got to work with Mosh Pit Mike. I like when Mike hit him in the grapefruits.
Work the grapefruits more next time. Maybe a grapefruits hold.
Oh man, Mike, I'm going to TEW Throwback Era Wrestling this weekend here in Tucson. Oh, nice. Yeah, I will be at IWA. But yeah, man. So we also have my promo for the Deep South match. So if you want to
World premiere?
Yeah, the world premiere of my promo. You did that edit, right?
Yes.
All right. So here we go. Me and Bryant Woods. This is fresh out the fucking oven.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Let's check it out.
That was awesome. You can order that on StreamXPW.
Yes.
So
it will be live on pay-per-view this Sunday. So
we will be watching.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be talking about it after. So, but on that note, we got to get out of here. We got another show to go for. So Dan,
we'll see you over there in a few minutes, hopefully. And yeah, don't miss Fleshman Horror Live. We got a stacked show for you guys. And on that note, goodbye. Come again hard in just a minute.
God damn it, Dan. Good evening, Kruger.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.